Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris Fluck here. This is it. Beyond Athletics Podcast, Episode 1. Now, the past couple months I've been thinking about kind of which direction to go with the podcast. I went for about 13, 14 months, did a lot of interviews, did a little bit of book reviews, but something was missing. I kind of wanted to do a little bit more and kind of start digging a little bit deeper into some topics. So, the past couple months, coronavirus is, COVID-19 is kind of wreaking havoc on everybody around here. And, we got to shut down. I'm going to use this time to kind of revamp and think about what I want to do with it. So I've been thinking about some topics and, I had this whole big plan, anywhere from 8 to 10 episodes. I was going to kind of mass record them and then release them. But then things continued to change. Stuff in Pennsylvania, we were on a lockdown. We can't do this. We can't do that. We're still under... fall or spring sports last year got canceled. Schools are shut down. Gyms are shut down. It's really starting to affect my life personally. And, this stuff is changing on a week-to-week basis. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't mass record stuff. I should maybe hold off and kind of do a weekly episode. And then that kind of shifted to, this past couple weeks. I'm ready to launch on June 1, which is today. And as you look around, we have people getting killed in the streets. We have some unrest. We have this whole country's kind of on fire, literally on fire. Police stations, cities, towns, graffiti everywhere, looting. All this stuff's going on. I'm thinking to myself, maybe this isn't the best time to start talking about, how important it is to, turn your young kid into a tremendous athlete. So I kind of did some rethinking and kind of a little bit of soul search on what I want to do with this program. And what the approach that I came up with was basically, this title we're going to call Beyond Athletics because, the lessons that we're going to learn in athletics, they're going to apply to life and beyond. All right. That's how creative my mind is, I guess. Not too creative. But so basically the mission of this podcast is going to be to create a positive and healthy community through athletics. So we're going to try to positively affect our community from small to large through the use of physical fitness and athletics. And the experience that we should be offering and supplying for our children should be of high quality and highly sustainable. This should last beyond athletics. All right. Everything that we're doing in life, right now with our young kids that are involved in sports, this stuff, these lessons that they are learning, they should last for a lifetime. It shouldn't be about, those short terms, whether or not we're a champion at the age of 12. We kind of want them to be champions in life. And that's kind of what the gear is, or what this podcast is going to be geared towards. And, I contemplated how I was going to do this. Do I do a season? Do I do 10 episodes? But really, I'm just going to do a weekly episode, maybe twice a week. We're going to try to get in here and get after it and really go over stuff. And, the genesis of this program started, 15 years ago as I went off to college and, things changed. I played 3 sports my entire life, and I go to college and I don't have a sport. So what does that mean? I lost a lot of structure. And I go to college, I got 22 hours of the day to do whatever I want, maybe 2 hours of classes, and I really struggled there. You start doing things that you don't want to do. You get involved in, groups and doing things on the weekends that you don't want to be doing, and it really starts taking away from the positive things that kind of life can offer. And, I gained 25, 30 pounds. Fitness was kind of put on the back burner, and I started thinking to myself, like, I did this stuff for all these years and now I'm so turned off by it. What happened along this time? So that was kind of the first phase of all this. The second phase of all this then is as I'm going through college, I'm struggling big time. I drop out, I leave school, and I get home and I start coaching some sports. I take a year off from athletics, from school that is, and I start coaching sports. And at the time I was coaching wrestling, and the school that I was at is one of the best programs in the state right now, and it is that way because of the coach. And he decided, around that time when I was getting in there, participation was a huge thing. We were trying to get as many kids out for the sport of wrestling as we could. We were going into the youth, going to the school, the elementary school. We're trying to get kids out for the program. If for every 5 kids that you get out, selfishly as a coach, 1 or 2 of those kids is probably going to be a starter for you down the road. But when you think about it in the big picture, we had a kid once that was a heavyweight, 240-pound 7th grader. And we got him wrestling, and we started, just trying to encourage him to learn a move here or there. We just wanted to keep him out for the team. By the time he's in high school, he's now 205 pounds. He's looking 100 times better. He lost a ton of weight, and his life has totally changed. The trajectory of his life has changed because, some of those things that we were able to implant in him as a middle school kid, he learned a bunch of lessons, and he was able to apply that physical fitness stuff. And he was one of those people, they talked about with the coronavirus, those people that have those pre-existing conditions. He was on a fast track to those pre-existing conditions, but through athletics, his whole life and his whole mentality changed. That was the second big thing I learned. So not only did I learn about the structure athletic provides, then I'm getting into how to build a good program, and then I saw firsthand the effect that athletics could have on a kid's life. I was like, Jesus, man, we got to kind of get this out. We got to get more kids to understand how important this stuff is. And then as I was coaching, a lot of people that do know me, they know a story. They know the story about, I talked about coaching wrestling. I started coaching because my brother was coaching. And during those first couple of years there, we were building good programs. And, over the course of that time, my brother started struggling with substance abuse. And at the end of the day, my brother lost his life because of substance abuse. And while he's coaching some of these kids now are 22, 23 years old. I'm sure what they saw, they still remember those things. A guy dozing off in the wrestling room, their coach, kind of losing attention, dozing off, not being of the right state of mind, getting himself into trouble outside of the room. These kids saw this stuff, and we had to make a tough decision as a coaching staff. We basically had to remove my brother from coaching because it got that bad. And that was the thing that I thought, that was one of the toughest things I had to do, is kind of be that person that was like, hey, we got to remove him. So, there's good and bad with athletics, and you're going to learn some good and you're going to learn some bad. And, like I said, my brother's life, he lost his life to drugs. And what I saw there, and something that sports, sometimes, tragedy brings people together. I think we all know that. And, at my brother's funeral, we had hundreds of people there. There was a line outside the door. All the, bunch of kids that he coached. Some of his former teammates were there. Some former competitors were there. Family was there. And what does it do? Tragedy brings people together. Athletics bring people together. And it gives you, sports kind of gives you that family away from family away from your own family. And I think that's another powerful thing there that I learned, and was just kind of like, wow, man, athletics provides that as well. And, some of those kids that just don't have a good family dynamic at home, they could get that from somebody else, and they could get that from a sports team. So, moving on through these lessons here, I learned about the structure. I learned about building a program. I learned that you have to sometimes make tough decisions. I learned about substance abuse, about, you meet kids, you talk to kids, you see that you see that kid that doesn't want to go home after practice, and you're wondering why. It's like, this is something. This could be the only positive thing in that kid's life, and it's our job as coaches to kind of give it to them, to give them good, to bring good in their life. So this is all this stuff that's just going around here. Learn with then coaching football. I get involved in football, and this is what we got going on. We were terrible these first couple years. There was a big turnaround. I think there was a big moment where there was a physical altercation between coaches, and I thought we were going to be fired. I thought it was over. And right around that time, the program, that was the last game of the year, and the program turned around. And I think, that was another important thing where that guy, that coach I was working with, he made a huge mistake, and he went in front of the kids and he fessed up to it. The coach's room door was open. The kids saw two coaches getting into a little scrum, and these guys were like, hey, I'm sorry, this is never going to happen again. And that was kind of the turning point. And at the end of the day there, we were able to make a run and almost, get ourselves in a position to win a state title, which I thought was pretty incredible. So all this stuff's going on, Then you have the adults, right? You got the parents, you got the coaches that you're working with. There's a lot of BS that goes on in coaching sports, unfortunately. And me as an individual, I'm like, I've seen all this stuff. I was ready to kind of move on with my life. So I stopped coaching, and then I get drawn right back into it. And it got me thinking about, the movie The Godfather. There's two parts of it. One is the Godfather himself, Vito Corleone. He's like, every man has but one destiny. And every time I get drawn back in, I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be coaching? Am I supposed to be working with kids? Am I supposed to be trying to use fitness and athletics to kind of teach lessons? And at the end of the day, it might be true, but I don't know yet. And then the other quote, Michael Corleone's son in Godfather 3, the only good part of this movie was just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in as the scene. And it's like, once I think I'm getting out and getting involved in some other activities, coaching, another opportunity comes up, and either I'm a sucker and can't say no, or it's just something that I should be doing. It's something that I enjoy doing. So, like I've been going on here, I feel like I've been kind of going back and forth with a lot of stuff, but really what this podcast is going to be about, it's going to be about the bigger picture. It's going to be about things going on in society. It's going to be about what's important, what we should be kind of, being involved in athletics, it kind of gives these kids an opportunity to kind of join a community, and it becomes their tribe. You know, they're wearing their football jersey to school, so they're letting people know, I'm on the team. You know, this is my buddy. You're giving high fives. Friendships and bonds are forming across economic barriers, across color barriers, you know, across all of this stuff. You know, kids in different communities playing on a travel team together. Some kids just might not know that in what life is like for somebody else that's struggling. You know, we had kids that didn't want to go home, like I said, and you could have a kid that has a perfect family life, and those two kids have to play next to each other, and they have to kind of work together and work their way towards that one big goal. You know, Richard Sherman in the NFL just today on June 1. He's got a quote out there that is just talking about all this crap that's going on in the world, the looting, the rioting, the violence, the murder, the death, you know. But you look in a football locker room, you might have a man, you know, from, you know, all kinds of different nationalities, ethnicities, guys from all over the country, guys from, you know, the Midwest, Northern California, somebody coming in from a different country, somebody from Europe, somebody from Mexico. All of these guys kind of working together towards one thing, and that's kind of what the beautiful thing is with sports. So, Beyond Athletics podcast. If I had to sum this thing up, we're going to be talking about tribe and kind of what sports offer our kids and offer us in the community. Like I mentioned, you know, when my brother died, the community came out in support. That was a wonderful thing. Sports give that to us. 9/11 happens, 2001 World Series. I believe it was the Yankees Diamondbacks. That was a special moment because it brought people together, and it brought the country together, and we were able to kind of enjoy a pastime together. Other topics we're going to be looking at: the truth. You know, Roy Halladay. There's a special on Roy Halladay, baseball player for the Phillies, and there was a moment in his career that he was struggling with substance abuse, and at that moment, the Phillies, you know, he got treatment. He was in the lab. Sorry, not in the lab. He was getting treatment for drug abuse, substance abuse issues. And I think, you know, these opportunities like this, I think the Phillies and I think Roy Halladay and whoever else was involved in that decision, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit, because instead of covering it up and saying, you know, he had an injury or this or that or whatever was going on, they could have been really open about it. And it could have been a learning opportunity to let kids know, to let people know that are struggling a little bit. Hey, this guy's making millions. He's one of the best in the game. And he's struggling with the same demons I'm struggling with. And it could have been that thing that got somebody to live that, you know, to kind of push through and maybe to seek treatment himself. And I think, you know, stuff like that, you miss an opportunity to change somebody's life. And we're going to be talking about topics like that. I know I saw one, you know, kid on here I used to coach. Corey, what's up, brother? If you're still watching, you know, he was in 8th grade, I believe, in 9th grade, and I still talk to his dad on occasion. And after my brother's death, I had to go in there, and I'm like, I got to do something. And I get this speech together, and I practiced it a bunch. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be good to go here. I'm going to be able to get through this. I won't get emotional in like 4 sentences and I'm crying like a little baby. But I pushed through there because I thought it was important. And I'm hoping that through that death, through that experience of my brother's death, through maybe giving that talk, maybe I changed somebody's life that listened to that. You got 40, 50 kids in the room. It was you know, those opportunities don't come up, and I hope that it kind of went through to somebody. So as us, you know, as coaches, as leaders, and as mentors, we have to take advantage of those opportunities. And, you know, I hope to continue to do something like that moving forward. And I hope that you guys do that as well. Other topics, we're going to be looking at social media. You know, social media, you know, this whole thing is trying to create a healthy community. Social media, in theory, is supposed to connect us to the whole world. But really, kids feel more isolated than ever. And I think social media plays a role in that. We look and we compare ourselves to everybody else. And what does that set us up to do? It's either going to bring us up because we're putting somebody else down, or it's going to make us feel worse about ourselves because we see how pretty somebody looks, or we see everybody partying in the hot tub and celebrating with whatever they're drinking and giving high fives and hugs, and we're like, man, I'm sitting at home reading a book on a Saturday night. You know, what's wrong with me? We're going to be talking about social media and how it affects kids. We're going to be talking about depression. Like I already mentioned, we're going to be talking about substance abuse. This stuff's out there. Everybody, you know, that knows, that works with high school kids knows that this is going on in the schools, and we need to kind of take a bull by its horn, so to speak, and start wrangling that thing and getting it under control, because it's a downward spiral after that. We're going to be talking about, you know, the importance of some other topics, right? a little bit lighter topic, so to speak, some long-term athletic development, the power of play, how we can incorporate and how we can encourage our kids to kind of explore and be curious. It starts when they're young. We cannot shelter our kids forever. Sports specialization. There's a term, early to ripe, early to rot. If we put a focus on early sports specialization, all we're going to do is cause our kids a plateau, and they're not going to be able to reach their full potential. Stuff like that we're going to be talking about. What else? Who knows? Issues in coaching, all kinds of stuff. We're touching every scandal that I could come up with. We're going to be talking about the bigger picture. We're not going to be talking about who won the game last week or who won the MMA fight or who's going to win. Is there going to be an NFL season? We're going to be diving into these bigger topics because we want to use athletics to create a more positive and healthy community, stuff that can last a lifetime. Next episode is going to be called Return to Play Post-Pandemic. We're going to be taking a look at the coronavirus. We're going to be taking a look at what we need to do as adults and leaders that work with kids and how we get kids back on the field, but do it in a safe and effective way. This podcast, I'm going to do it live on Facebook. It put some pressure on me to do it. I recorded one earlier today and I thought it was crap. So I'm like, screw it. Let's hit the live button and let's see what we got here. So I'm going to hit it live on Facebook. It's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to upload this stuff. It's going to be on iTunes. It's going to be on Google Play and all that good stuff. All right, guys. This is episode 1. It's an intro. Most of these, I'm going to come at you again on Thursday with a pandemic, returning to play post-pandemic. What time is that going to be? I don't know. Got a 2-year-old, so she kind of dictates when I'm recording. That's going to go down Thursday. Like I said, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, chrisfluck.net. That's the website. And it's going to be live on Facebook once, hopefully twice a week. That's a lot of pressure for me. And I hope I could keep up to it, guys. If you have any requests, what you want me to talk about in terms of coaching, what you see in youth sports, what do you see in professional sports, issues you might see, let me know. I'll address them hopefully to your liking. And guys, stay safe, all right? All kinds of craziness going out. Let's be positive. Let's kind of push the negativity aside and let's kind of be there and let's kind of create a healthy community. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Peace, everybody.